Hello, it's Inanna. I'm going to be playing with my new toys. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you because it's 12 o'clock at night and I can't go to sleep. So I'm going to talk with you about this book I was reading. It's not a book, because I always get the PDF from cheap. So I have this PDF. It's called the Book of Thoth. Okay, so everybody should know about Thoth, but if you don't know about Thoth, let me give you a brief history of him. Thoth was a king of an ancient land called Kemet in Mesopotamia. And he ruled for 15,000 years, from 30,000 BCE to 15,000 BCE. He lived a very long lifetime. And he has been accredited to writing the Emerald Tablets. He was known to the Grecian people as Hermes the Thrice Born. So Hermes to them is Thoth to Egyptians. And I wanted to point out the importance of Thoth, and I'm wondering why. And I'll explain to you why. You may have never heard of Thoth if you are a Christian, because it was deleted completely out of the record of the Bible and left there for you to find out on your own. But Thoth, first, let me give my disclaimer. I never will lead you away from the one true God above. Everything that I talk to you is a historical fact, unless I say it's a vision. I may be argumentative of the Bible, but I believe in God. But I can also say that money making schemes have been set up to take your mind off worshiping the one true God. Instead, you're paying into another system. That's what I'm saying. God is real. His angels are real. It's just that you're paying off into another system, a system designed by Inky and Enlil to entrap you, instead of staying focused on the one creator and using your third eye. As he gave thrown you so off track, you're afraid to use your own third eye. So I'm trying to show you how you are thrown off. All I will ever show you is examples of what is in the Bible. I will not be talking about no unknown stuff that you will never be able to prove. I'll be talking about stuff that's in the Bible that you can pull up for real, for real. Unless I say I had a vision, which I did. Okay, so now, Thoth. Why is Thoth being brought up then if you're not going away from God? Well, here's the deal. After studying some of the stuff that I did and coming across so many terms and so many examples of the Hebrew language, I realized that he was supposed to have a whole name. Thoth is all they're calling him. But according to some texts, if his dad was Thothmesis, according to the way the language goes, his name would have been Thothmosis. And I could see why they would not want you to know his name was Thothmosis for sure. Why would they not spell that in your head? Why would they not tell you about Thoth? His name is Thothmosis. Technically, it's supposed to be Thothmosis, but it's been chopped out. Okay, so now you think about that really hard and you say, okay, now Moses, he did some great things, and you'll never know that he was a general. You'll never know that he went out conquering other nations and stuff like that. You won't know that. You will not know that. Okay. But he did. And then, okay, so I don't want to go astray. Thoth. Thoth was a remnant of a civilization that had been destroyed. Now, people like Graham Hancock, he always talk about that lost civilization. And he and archaeologists are at war about it, but it is another civilization out there. They were bigger than us, and they also ate us and killed us at will. And God chose to exterminate them from this planet. So that race is never talked about in none of the main sciences. They don't want to discuss why the doors are so big on some of the stuff. They don't want to discuss that because then they will have to admit that there's a lost race of giants that they can't find here on Earth. And they don't want that, because the books that Thoth wrote said directly that he was going down to the halls of Amenti. So I read the Emerald Tablets. Now, there are other books out there that are great, like Billy Carson's book, The Compendium of Thoth, or that book that he has is great. Billy Carson, it's a great book and it's a bestseller. But I'm from the old school and I read it back before he wrote. So I read the real Thoth, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So my ideas may differ from his ideas. And it's all an interpretation of what you read. But if you didn't read nothing, then be with me, and go check it out. You can check out the compendium of the Emerald Tablets, and you can check out the Emerald Tablets, and you can check out the Book of Thoth. But I'm going to read some excerpts here that Cor Hendriks wrote, and it's on a PDF because that's all I can afford. And the PDF is called the Book of Thoth, and it's a downloadable PDF. You can download it on my site if you would like for $1.99. Okay, so now they're saying, all right, so Thoth said that he rolled up upon the remnants after the flood, which is not supposed to be in the remnants after the flood, but he rolled upon this civilization after the flood. He was fleeing because his civilization had been destroyed. And he come upon the human beings and he took his crown and throne right then and there and became their ruler and ruled over them. And he was a giant, and he was in there with Ra and all of them. And those were some cruel human-eating people. They were humans, but they were huge, and they had different things about them. But one thing for sure, they ate humans. So he was one of those, and he considered us as puny humans. But he wrote down everything. He was called the scribe to the gods. He wrote so many books. I cannot even name them all. He wrote everything: chemistry, alchemy, astrology, mathematics. I mean, this man was super intelligent, and all they can tell you about is Moses striking a pyramid. Moses striking a stone. But in reality, they told you some tablets was broken. Those tablets, they had knowledge on them they did not want you to know. But the one thing that Moses' job was to do was to teach the people to read and write. The people that were enslaved could not read and write. And his job was to teach them math and how to read and write. And no one will say, well, that's when men started writing. They're going to hide that from you. They're going to hide it from everybody. So realize that. Okay, and then I told you that the Ewe tribe were the original speakers of the Hebrew, and they're located in Ghana. So that means that slaves have been being taken from Ghana over to Egypt to be slaves for many days and many times. So while you are doing your research, make sure you get your identity correct with that part too. Okay, so now if you identify with as being a Hebrew, then it would be Ghana. So It says, now the magical powers of Thoth were so great that the Egyptian had tales of a book of Thoth, which would allow a person to read the sacred book and become the most powerful magician in the world. It's more like a kid's fable. Now, the book which the God of wisdom wrote with his own hand was, though a deadly book that brought nothing but pain and tragedy to those that read it, despite finding out about the secrets of the gods themselves and all that is hidden in the stars. Okay, so now in art, Thoth was usually depicted as the head of an ibis, deriving from his name, and the curve of the neck, which resembles a crescent moon. Now, Thoth the scribe, he wrote the story of our reality and placed it into different places and was able to take journeys throughout consciousness and write down how to do it again. And he did. And I mean, I tried that. That's the one that terrified me to the point where I will never do it again. Okay, so yes, he was good. You think Stephen King good? This guy right here can walk you to hell and back. Now, Thoth was thought to be the scribe to the gods, who kept a library of the scrolls over which one of his wives, called Seshat, the goddess of writing, was thought to be mistress. Thoth was thought to be scribe to the gods, who kept a great library of scrolls, over which one of his wives, Seshat, was watching over. And Seshat was said to be the one who invented writing, and then Thoth gave it to man. So they're saying that Thoth taught man writing. But reality is, when he brought those 10 commandments down, he had to teach people how to read and write then. And he taught numerology and everything then. And he taught man how to read and write then. Better get it right. Okay, so he was also associated with the Egyptians with speech, literature, arts, and learning. He was a measurer and a recorder of time, and so was his wife Seshat. And many ancient Egyptians believed that Seshat was the one who encouraged writing onto him and then him onto man. And Seshat is a goddess herself. Okay, but then he had another wife named Ma'at. Now, she was believed to be the one who wrote the Book of Spells and wrote the Book of the Dead. The Egyptians used that for their embalming and mummification process and their funerary rites for centuries. That's why he is one of the longest worship gods. Some of the things they say he was uh, responsible for, they went on for centuries and thousands and thousands and thousands. Nobody can outdo them. Even now, the Christianity thing, 15,000 years of worshiping, we had about 2,000 right here. Okay, so in there, in it says here, he was a booker. I mean, he was a helper and a punisher of the deceased as they tried to enter into the underworld. And in this role, his wife was Ma'at, the personification of order, who was weighed against the heart of the dead to see if they followed Ma'at during their life. The feather of Ma'at. You've heard the tales, I hope. Thoth also was responsible for geometry, reality, time, math, and metaphors. Yes, he was able to create a grid and use this grid and metaphor of as above as below. He put that into effect, but it is the same metaphor. It's an Einstein equation, as a matter of fact. Just said with letters and alphabets, but the statement is here. He said that. So he was really genius, and I mean, when he wrote the Emerald Tablets, He wrote it on a material we can't even duplicate now. We don't know where that material came from. We don't even know what it is. So he's a bad boy. He made some mess that, I don't know. He was just smart. He was a different being from a different place, and he came upon us, and we was helpless. So we did whatever, he said do, and I would too. And then he lived a really long time. And get this, he had the nerve to die and be reborn, and he knew how to do it several times. That's why they call him Hermes the thrice born. He came back 3 times and then wrote about it. Laughed at us. And he was like, if you ever read the real Emerald Tablets, you would be amazed. And it depends if you take it to heart. Now, if you take it to heart, you will be amazed, you will be enlightened, and you will be terrified. If you just take it for reading it as like a fictional novel, that's what you're going to get, a fictional novel. But me going in wide-eyed and blind, I read that stuff, and I was back in college trying to do it. And it was like, whoa, I can do this. This man is real. And, he was, I don't know what to call him. Maybe a demon. That's what I'm thinking. He was a demon, but he was a naughty demon. And then, you heard that Moses never got to go to the promised land. And so if you read all of the tablets and all the texts, even if you biblical sense, it would be somebody died so you could have the knowledge that you have. It's just that simple. Either way it goes, no matter which being you say, whatever you say, when the knowledge and the ability to do the things that the human mind does, when that was given to man, somebody died. Each and every story. It could be the Sumerian story, it could be the biblical, it could be anything. All of it wind up somebody dying because they gave that knowledge away. We should use the knowledge instead of fighting each other. We should be using our third eye and taking this knowledge and moving forward. So this man right here, Thoth, was worshipped for over 20,000 years, I say. And he, to me, has been completely left out the Bible. And the reason he was completely left out the Bible was because he was not a man, yet he did so much. So when you think of Moses and you think about the Hebrew language, it would seem to me that Thoth's other name is Moses. His daddy is Thothmesis. The next one will be Thothmosis. And they cut it in half. One part of the world, no Thoth. One part, no Hermes. Why was he the 3 times born? They're not telling you the truth. Where's the third birth? The third birth was when he was Moses. They're not telling you that. See, one of his lives, he washed up in the reeds and did it. He was Moses in one of his lives. He was Hermes in another life. And he was Thoth in the Emerald Tablets. But they're not telling you this. And I don't know if it was divine reckoning that made me put it together. All I know is that when you read enough text with the Hebrew in it, you start realizing how they do the names. They take the names and they change the vowels in the names, and it'd be like, adding an A or O at the end and an I-M at the end, and it means something. So I realize you have a root word, and then you have some word at the back of it that changes and describes the meaning of that root word. Okay, so then I started looking. I said, well, Thoth was from that time where they got them names like that. So I only got one name, and that what made me research his names. So then I researched his name, and I realized that his name, technically, if he is the son of Thothmesis, his name would be Thothmosis. They need to start with that mess. Now you only know him as Moses. And he been cut completely out of the Bible. You don't even know all that Moses did because you've been so brainwashed. Come off of it. Learn some reality. Okay, so now, but I can't get on you because the math is so hard. See, I'm talking to you and I apologize too. I already got my degree. So I already done went and studied in depth what I wanted to study. And from age of 15, it been the origin of man. And then, ever since then. So I've already done read all these texts way back in 2001 and 2. 20 years ago, I read this stuff when I was going through school. And so I may seem far fetched with some of the stuff I'm saying. And there's no way I can give you 35 years of learning, a YouTube video. I can refer you back to where the stuff may be where you can start reading on more history of yourself. See, if you take the Bible into biblical context and just say only this happened in the world, that's on you. But you really should look at some of these dates and stuff and look at what was going on in the world around that same time. Look around a little bit more. Read more text on yourself. Read, find out, like you all right. The first thing, the most beautiful thing you could ever do for yourself is get a map, a world map, right? Get the world map and put the Bible on the map. What I mean is, even if it's a biblical map, put it on the wall somewhere. So when you're reading, you can look at what's going on in the map too. Because, see, in learning, you have to take stuff in 3 times before it's permanent. If you're just reading it, you're not speaking it, you're not writing it, you get it one time, it ain't going in like it should go. You have to get it 3 times. So, like if I read something in the Bible and I'm by myself, I read it in the Bible. Now I'm going to look up the words that I read. I'm also going to look on the map to get some more understanding of the words that I read. Get my 3 times in. Get your 3 times in with everything that you learn. Say you learn how to write a word. You're going to do it 3 times. You're going to do it 3 times, no matter what, to get it right. So 3 times is the magic thing. And a good way to get it is the visual with the map. And then, like, you read it, that's the 1 time. And then the visual with the map, that's the 2nd time because you're going over it in your head with the visual there, right? And then the 3rd time would be to write it or to speak it. But this is really hard to take in all this kind of stuff. But if you did that to each and every one of those tablets, it'll all click in and you'll begin to comprehend. So you'll understand that, hey, in the Babylonian text, Inanna or Ishtar was this person. And then in the Akkadian text, she was Isis. You will learn, like, in the Egyptian text, it's the same person. They just got, you learn that. It'll come. It'll come. It just takes time, though. And I can't persuade you enough to put down the social media and read some facts and stop being blind. I mean, I do social media, but you only see me on here like once a week because I have a whole full life on the other side of this. And there's no time for me to be all the time on social media if I'm going to be talking to somebody about it. I'm going to be finding out my information through the week and trying to handle my life, right? Okay, so you have to dedicate an hour or two, even if it's just on Sunday, to study your true history. Study the history that happened to African, which Samaria is on the African continent. They're all over there linked together. The only ones that aren't on the African continent is the Americas. Get what I'm saying? All the rest of them are all over there on that same African continent, and Australia is the different continent. And then, so learn your map. All right, so learn your map and learn that when they say Africa, Africa is huge, but they want to say North Africa and call it all this different shit. It's still just Africa. They just don't want to say it. Iraq is North Africa. It's the top of Africa. I mean, the whole thing. Russia is even attached some part to Africa. Well, not really, but because you have the mountains. So all of that on the east side over there is where the Bible was going on, like um, Turkey, the Caucasoid Mountains over there, and then you got all of that, and then you have where Israel is. All of that is over there on that map. And if you all you learned was the USA map, how can you really be reading the Bible and understanding what you are seeing if you haven't even looked at the biblical map? You better not come at me with that book and you didn't look and see what's going on. I mean, I'm real with that. I'm real. It's so good. Then tell me where this stuff was at. Follow the trail. Walk it. That's what I did. So hey, if you want to be hypocritical, you better know your stuff. I don't see how you getting it, just one paragraph at a time and then taking that and making a big old thing out of one paragraph. Like, so now this PDF, he wrote about how they was trying to get that magic book. This is not the magic book. See, the real book is a myth. It's a lie, I think. They say there's a book that you can read it and then you become all powerful. And then now people are running around looking for the book and feeling like they're supposed to have the book. So in this story, I haven't even really got all deep into this one. I'm gonna read it to you. And let's see what it's talking about right here about this book. Who knew? Who knew they had a book? Who knew that Thoth wrote a book with all the spells in it? I'm even greedy. I want that. I want that one. No, you don't. Remember what I said. If you get that one and you read it, death and destruction is all you'll see. Remember that. You don't want that one. You don't want that one. Ah, but it sure would be nice if you could get a copy and let somebody else read it. No, that's so wrong. That's so wrong, wrong, wrong. It's so wrong. Oh Lord, forgive me for being wrong like that. um well, this is just a PDF and this is not the real book. This is this guy. His name is let me look him up. His name is Cor Hendriks. And the Book of Thoth is the name of the PDF. And it tells this story about people trying to get that book. So let's see what it's about. Here we go. It says, we were the two children of the king Mermptah, and he loved us very much, for he had no others. And Nanaferkeptah was in his palace as heir over all the land. And when Cor Hendriks, the Book of Thoth, wrote it, and he did this PDF in April of 2016. He said, we were grown. The king said to the queen, I will marry Nanaferkepa to the daughter of a general, and Ahura to the son of another general. And the queen said, no, he's the heir. Let him marry his sister like the heir of a king. None other is fit for him. And the king said, that is not fair. They had better be married to the children of the general. And the queen said, is it you who are not dealing rightly with me? And the king answered, if I have no more than these two children, is it right that they should marry one another? I will marry Nananefer to the daughter of an officer, and Ahura to the son of another officer. It has often been done so in our family, and at a time when there was a great feast before the king, they came to fetch me at the feast, and I was very troubled, and did not behave as I used to do. And the king said to me, Ahura, have you sent someone to me about this sorry matter, saying, "Let me be married to my elder brother?" I said to him. "Well, let me marry the son of an officer, and he married the daughter of another officer, as is often happens in our family." I laughed, and the king laughed. And the king told the steward of the palace, "Let them take her to the house of Neferkapta tonight, and all kinds of good things with her." So they brought me as a wife to the house of Neferkapta, and the king ordered them to give with me and receive all the presents from the palace. And we loved one another. And I expected a child. They told the king, and he was most heartfully glad. And he sent me many things, and a present of the best silver and gold and linen. And when the time came, I bore this little child that is before you. And they gave him the name of Mirab, and registered him in the book of the house of life. And when my brother Neferkata went to the cemetery of Memphis, he did nothing on earth but read the writings that are seen on the monuments. And he worked hard on the writings. And there was a priest there called Nisipta. And as Nanaferkefer went into a temple to pray, it happened that he went behind his priest and was reading the inscriptions that were on the chapels of the gods. And the priest mocked him and laughed. So Nanaferkefer said to him, "Why are you laughing at me?" And he replied, "I was not laughing at you, or if I happened to do so, it was at your reading writings that are worthless. If you wish so much to read things, come to me, and I will bring you to the place where the book is that Thoth himself wrote with his own hand, and which will bring you to the gods. When you read but 2 pages in this, you will enchant the heaven, the earth, the abyss, the mountains, and the sea. You shall know what the birds of the sky and the crawling things are saying. You shall see the fishes of the deep, for a divine power is there to bring them up out of the depth. And when you read the second page, if you are in the world of ghosts, you will become again in the shape you were in on earth. You will see the sun shining in the sky with all the gods and the full moon. And the Neferkanta said, "By the life of the king, tell me anything you want done, and I'll do it for you, if you will only send me to where this book is." And the priest answered Neferkanta, "If you want to go to the place where the book is, you must give me 100 pieces of silver for my funeral, and provide that they shall bury me as a rich priest." So Neferkaffer called his lad and told him to give the priest 100 pieces of silver, and he made them do as he wished, even everything that he asked for. Then the priest said to Neferkaffer, "This book is in the middle of the river at Coptos in an iron box. In the iron box is a bronze box, and the bronze box is a sycamore box. In the sycamore box is an ivory and an ebony box. And in the ivory and ebony box is a silver box. And in the silver box is a golden box. And in that is the book." It was all twisted all around with snakes and scorpions and all the other crawling things around the box in which the book sits. And there was a deathless snake in the box. And when the priest told Neferkaffer he did not know where on earth he was so much delighted. And when he came from the temple, he told me that what had happened to him. And he said, "I should go to Coptos, for I must fetch this book. I will not stray any longer in the north." And I said, "Let me dissuade you, for you prepare sorrow, and you will bring me into trouble into the bade." And I laid my hand on Neferkafter to keep him from going to Coptos, but he would not listen to me. And he went to the king and told the king all that the priest had said. And the king asked him, "What is it that you want?" And he replied, "Let them give me the royal boat with its belongings, for I will go to the south for Ahura and her little boy Merab and fetch this book without delay." So they gave him the royal boat with his belongings, and we went with him to the haven and sailed up there to Coptos. Then the priests of Isis of Coptos and the high priest of Isis came down to us without waiting to meet Neferkata, and their wives also came to meet. We went into the temple of Isis and Harpocrates, and Neferkata brought an ox, a goose, and some wine, and made a burnt offering and a drink offering before Isis of Coptos and Harpocrates. They brought us to a very fine house with all good things. And then Neferkeptah spent 4 days there and feasted with the priests of Isis of Coptos. And the wives of the priests of Isis also made holiday with me. And the morning of the fifth day came, and then Neferkeptah called a priest to him and made a magic cabin that was full of men and tackle. He put the spell upon it. He put life into it and gave them breath and sank it in the water. He filled the royal boat with sand and took leave of me and sailed from the haven and sat by the river of Coptos that I might see what become of him. And he said, "Workmen, work for me, even at the place where the book is." And they toiled by night and by day. And when they had reached it in 3 days, he threw the sand out and made a shoal in the river. And then he found on it entwined serpents and scorpions and all kinds of crawly things around the box in which the book was. And by it he found a deathless snake around the box. And he said he laid the spell upon the entwined serpents and scorpions and all kind of crawling things which were around the box that they would come out. And he went to the deathless snake and fought with him and killed him. But he came to life again and took a new form. He then fought again with him a second time, but he came to life again and he took a new form. He then cut him in two parts. He put sand in between the parts that he would not appear again. Neferkeptah then went to the place where he found the box. He uncovered a box of iron and opened it and found a box of bronze and opened it. And then he found a box of sycamore wood and opened it. Again, he found a box of ivory and ebony and opened it. Yet he found a box of silver and opened it. And then he found a box of gold. He opened that and found on in the book, he took the book from the golden box and read a page of spells from it. He enchanted the heaven, the earth, the abyss, the mountains, and the sea. He knew what the birds of the sky were saying, the fish in the deep, and the beasts of the hills, all of them. He knew what they said. He said another page of the spells and saw the sun shining in the sky with all the gods of the full moon and the stars in their shapes. He saw the fishes of the deep, for a divine power was present that brought them up from the water. He then said the spell upon the workmen that he had made and taken from the haven and said to them, "Work for me back to the place from which I came." And they toiled night and day. And so he came back to the place where I sat by the river of the Coptos. I had not drunk or not eaten anything, and had done nothing on earth, but sat there like one who was going to the grave. I then told Nebuchadnezzar that I wished to see this book for which he had taken so much trouble. He gave the book into my hands, and when I read a page of it, the spells in it, I also enchanted the heaven and earth, the abyss, the mountains, and the sea. I also knew that the birds of the sky, the fishes of the deep, and the beasts of the hills all said. I read another page of the spells, and I saw the sun shining in the sky with all the gods, the full moon and the stars in their shapes. I saw the fishes of the deep, for a divine power was present that brought them up from the water. And as I could not write, I asked Nana Keffer, who was a good writer and a very learned one. He called for a new place of papyrus and wrote on it all that was in the book before him. He dipped it in beer and washed it off in the liquid. And for he knew that if it were washed off and he drank it, he would know all there was in the writing. We went back to Coptos the same day, and we made a feast before Isis of Coptos and Hippocrates. And we then went to heaven and sailed and went northward of Coptos. And as we went on, Thoth discovered all that the captain had done with the book, and Thoth hastened to tell Ra and said, "Now know that my book and my revelation are with Nanakapra, the son of the king of Menapra. He has forced himself into my place and robbed it and seized my box with all the writings, and he killed my guards who protected it." And Ra replied to him, "He is before you. Take him and all his kin." He sent a power from heaven with the command, "Do not let Nanakapta return safe to Memphis with all his kin." And after an hour, the little boy Merab, going out from the awning of the royal boat, fell into the river. He called on Ra, and everybody was on the bank raised a cry. Nana for Kephra went out of the cabin and read the spell over him. He brought the body up, but because of divine power brought him into the surface. He read another spell and made him tell of all that happened to him and of what Thoth had said before Ra. We turned back with him to Coptos. We brought him to the good house. We fetched the people to him, made them embalm him, and we buried him in his coffin in the cemetery like a great and noble person. And then Kephra, my brother, said, "Let us go down, let us not delay, for the king is not yet heard of what has happened to him, and his heart will be sad about it." So we went to the heaven. We sailed and did not stay in the north of Coptos. And when we were come to the place where the little boy Merhab had fallen into the water, I went out from the awning of the royal boat, and I fell into the river. They called Nanakaptra, and he came out from the depth of the royal boat. He read a spell over me and brought my body up, but because a divine power brought me to the surface, he drew me out and read the spell over me and made me tell him of all that happened to me and of what Thoth had said before Ra. Then he turned back with me to Coptos. He brought me to the good house. He fetched the people to me and made one embalm me, as great and noble people are buried, and laid me in the tomb where Merab, my young child, was. And he turned to the haven and sailed down and delayed not in the north of Coptos. And when he came to the place where we fell into the river, he said to his heart, "Shall I not better turn back again to Coptos, that I may lie by them? For if not, then I go down to Memphis." And the king asked after his children, "What shall I say to him? Can I tell them I have taken your children to the bait and killed them, while I remained alive, and I have came to Memphis still alive?" Then he made them bring him to a linen cloth of striped byssus, and he made a band and bound the book firmly and tied it upon him. Nanakapra then went out on the awning of the royal boat and fell into the river. He cried out to Ra, and those people that were on the bank made an outcry, saying, "Great woe, sad woe is the loss, that good scribe and able man that has no equal." The royal boat went on without anyone on earth knowing where Nanakapra was. It went on to Memphis, and they told all this to the king. And then the king went down to the royal boat in mourning, and all the soldiers and high priests and priestesses were in mourning, and all the officials and courtiers. And when he saw Nebuchadnezzar, who was in the inner layer of the cabin of the royal boat, and from his rank of high scribe, he called, as they saw the book by him. And the king said, "Let one hide this book that is with him, And the officers of the king, the priests of Ptah, and the high priest of Ptah said to the king, O Lord, may the king live as long as the sun. Nenekephra was a good scribe and a very skillful man, and the king had him laid in his good house on the 16th day, and then had him wrapped on the 35th day, and laid him out on the 70th day, and then had him put in his grave in his resting place. I have now told you the sorrow which has come upon us because of this book. The tale of Nenefertari. There are other things and tales of magic from Egypt, especially the stories of Prince Setna and Setna's young son, say Osiris. And while reading ancient texts, Setna discovered the story of Neferkepter, who had been a much more powerful magician than he, and because he had read the Book of Thoth. He determined to find and read the book and asked his brother to accompany him to find the tomb of Neferkapra, the son of Amenhotep. And when Setna had made his way into the tomb, to the central chamber where Neferkapra was laid to rest, he found the body of the prince lying wrapped in his linen bands, still and awful in death. But beside it, on the stone sarcophagus, sat two ghostly figures, the cause of a beautiful young woman and a boy. And between them, on the dead breast of Neferkata, lay the Book of Thoth. Honoring the cause, Setna begged them to let him take the papyrus, and if they would not let him take it, he had the magic power to take it from them by force. The cry of the woman Ahura let it be known to Setna that the papyrus brought nothing but trouble. She knew this because she had been the wife of the man who had been killed, and the cry of the boy had been Merab, her son. And she and her son's bodies was lying there at Koptos, at the very edge of the eastern Waset. She and Neferkata had been children of the Pharaoh and had wed by custom. Soon their son had been born, but Neferkata cared more for knowledge. He thirsted after the wisdom of the ancient texts and magic spells from ancient tombs. One day, while studying the ancient shrines, a priest came and started taunting Neferkata. All that he read there is but worthless. I could tell you they were lies, the Book of Thoth, which the God of wisdom wrote with his own hand. And when you have read its first page, you will be able to enchant the heaven and the earth and the abyss and the mountains and the seas, and you shall know the birds and the beasts. And when you have read the second page, your eyes will behold all the secrets of the gods. Neferkapla would do anything to get that text, and the priest asked for 100 bars of silver. Now, without hesitation, Neferkapla did as the priest had asked. Desperate to find where the wisdom of the ancient Thoth was kept, the Book of Thoth lies beneath the middle of the Nile at Koptos in an iron box. So, how he died mercilessly, and then now we have another one going named Say Osiris, and this story goes on and on about this. I want you to read the PDF and download the rest because I have 10 minutes. I'm not going to make it to the end in 10 minutes. So now this is the Book of Thoth. This is an Egyptian fable about people trying to get Thoth's knowledge. And that was just a little fun part of it, you know. They had children's stories, but you should read the one about Say Osiris. I like that one too. I may read that one. But this PDF, you can read the rest of it by downloading it off of my website. It's at edenzone.net. Just download the PDF. It's called the Book of Thoth. It's written by It's written by, this ain't the Book of Thoth like you thinking, but it's written, this paper, this article is written by Cor Hendriks. Cor Hendriks wrote the book, this little article right here, and I downloaded it for you, and I put it on the website, and it's $1.99 to get the download. So why? I do this research, and I read it where you can just click on it and download the whole story right there without having no problem. I mean, it's not worth your time because some of this stuff, you have to dig for it. So when I find it, I just put it on the website, and then I put it on the website and let you download it off the website, because then you don't have to go look for it. I already did the research for it. But this is Inanna, late at night, can't sleep. So what I was just talking about now was just a story about Thoth. But at the very beginning, I told you about how the names may be interpreted different, but the stories and everything, I am beginning to believe that Thoth is Thothmosis. And I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I'm not going to be able to break the code of religions and be able to connect the times. But they have it really chopped up so that you would know that the Hebrews were enslaved, but the reason they were that's what race, because they were not taught to read and write. And that was the only thing that was keeping them a slave. So you wonder, how did the Hebrews become slaves? Okay, once they were taught how to read and write, the ones that knew how to read and write had an advantage over the ones who didn't know how to read and write. So then those ones that didn't know how to read and write were enslaved. Still going on today. You need to learn how to read. I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna read every single thing to you like you a child. You don't want to read, and that is what's keeping us down. I understand you were mistreated, but if you have a cell phone and you can read this social media, then you can read your history. Yep, I said it. You can read this. So I got the. Oh, I want to tell you what we have. We have the V8 sound card, um, podcast sound card. I'm playing with one. This one right here. It will let you put the electronic voice on. It will let you put gunshots in there. It lets you add treble bass. You can add your music into the podcast. That's what I'm trying to learn how to use it. I'm not that good at this kind of stuff. And we sell these at our shop at Edenzone.net, $39.99, and it comes with the sound card and a microphone like this that can be attached to it, so you'll be able to automatically have one, because most people don't have that when they have a USB microphone. Well, this one has, it comes with this microphone, it comes with this thing right here, which is the actual V8 sound card, and it comes with the charger cord where it charges, and it Bluetooths and everything. It Bluetooths to your computer, it Bluetooths to your cell phone. You can hook digital instruments up to it and everything. It has 6 different outlets too. Look, and so it has 6 different ways of input. It has 3 ways of input. The 3 ways of input is going to be condensed microphone, dynamic microphone, and then earphone or speaker, and then headset, and then it has another one that says accompanying instrumental. Those are the 3 accompanying instruments. That's like off of your cell phone or whatever you want to plug up in there, and then that's your music in the background. Then it has a place for you to put your headset. That's an input, and then it has a condenser mic, and it has a dynamic mic jack too. So, and then it also has a charger where you're charging it at the same time while you're using it, and you connect it to your computer by Bluetooth, or you can connect it to your cell phone by Bluetooth. So it has different ways to input. So you can put the gunshot, you can change it to your electro voice. You can um, you can put a shockwave on there. You can act like you're a mic MC, like sometimes like I do. And then you can also put you can make it cheer, you can make it clap, You can make it gunshots. You can make it sound mad. You can make it like a big debut. You can make the kissy sound. You can make it a laughing sound. You can do all kind of stuff. And there's different sounds on here that you push that you can add to your sound effects that you can add to the podcast. And these right here, this is bass, treble, the recording, how much of it you want to record. The music, you can change it right here with the input with here. And then the monitor right here. So it's got the volumes of everything all. You plug it, you Bluetooth it to your computer, and you control your podcast with it. I'm not good at this kind of stuff, but I will be when by the time I get done. But we have those on sale here at edenzone.net. And if you like, go online, find it. They're $39.99. They come with a mic because I noticed, and I put the mic with it because I found out when I first got it, the first thing I needed to do was go buy a mic because I got mics. I got mics. I got mics, but they have a USB end on them, right? They have a USB on the end. So that wasn't going to fit into my sound card. So I got the one that got the yeah, I went and ordered the microphone that has the right microphone that sticks in there. It has a different jack like this. So it comes with it now. I put it with it because I want it to be, when you get it out, you're ready to do something with it. So I'm hoping you all enjoyed me. I'm just talking about Thoth. And I don't know when I'm going to do another major video. Right now I'm just doing readings and stuff. Sometimes, life gets pretty busy. During the day I work during the day. I get off at 5. And sometimes let me tell you another thing. Makeup. I'm a seamstress. I can't wear makeup to work. And I can't wear makeup. I can't wear the fingernails to work. So it's basically like get off work and then put on makeup. It's hard to do. How many people do that? Get off work and then put on makeup. But that's what it would be for me. So sometimes I just get off work and don't get online. I'll work. And then you have family time. You have to do the cooking and just I don't have a lot of time. I have an hour a week maybe. And I'm working on that too, but it's just too much work for me. But now y'all's finally waiting to see. This is it. This is a real deal. It is big, baby. It is big. This is it. Yeah, that's what I got. This is what God gave me right here. You thought I was bald? No. I got a little hair. It's little. That nappy. All right. Well, I'll see y'all on another day, next video. I'll see you then. Be blessed. Keep shining. I didn't even talk to y'all about the third eye, did I? I might need to just go take a break and come back because I, I may. I think I will. I'll see y'all in a minute.